And so a lot of time we will have them to come here and try to get everything done here, or go to the U.S. Embassy to have the document to be notarized. And California law also requires that all parties within the surrogacy agreement attest to their compliance with all relevant law or face charge of perjury. So this is also very important. So this is the reason why a lot of time our client overseas having a hard time to get the agreement to be notarized. Okay, intended parent need to establish the legal parental right before to the birth of children. Either the surrogate or the intended parent attorney will draft this thing called the pre-birth order, PBO, as I mentioned before, to be filed with the local county superior court houses, family law division. So there's not that many judges are trained to understand about surrogacy law. So there's only 1 or 2 per courthouse that really would be handling this pre-birth order cases or matter. I know one that had in LA that recently got transferred to Pasadena, which is even closer to our office, so I'm very happy with. And surrogacy is always, I was told, that is their favorite. So a lot of times they will move surrogacy pre-birth order cases to be heard on Friday afternoon because they wanted to end their week with happy thought with the new babies coming in, then dealing with divorces, fighting over child custody, and party wanted to kill each other. So surrogacy is almost like the judge's favorite, and they always save it for Friday afternoon. Okay, so record would be sealed. Whatever you file in the pre-birth order, this record would be sealed and confidential, except to the intended parents, of course, surrogate, attorney, and the California Department of Social Service. Some people want to keep it confidential, especially in the surrogacy agreement. Sometimes they wanted to keep. Most of the time, I would say that the whole process is confidential. A lot of time, especially if they're in Asia, if their sexual orientation haven't come out, because over there is not as accepting their sexual orientation than here. A lot of them haven't come out publicly, so their sexual orientation is an issue. They would like everything to be kept in confidential. Some reason they want to keep it confidential because they don't know how that's going to have an impact on their children later on. So they would rather to seal the information. Depending on which county you are filing, the moving party or the petitioner party will have to be familiar with the local surrogacy rule at their courthouse. So you have to refer to your Superior Court website or use the local rule, like always, for more information. Like I said, there's one judge who does surrogacy cases in LA, and now she had transferred to Pasadena. So I still need to find out who would be handling the surrogacy cases in LA. There's always 1 or 2 per courthouse that only deal with surrogacy. Not only deal with surrogacy, I mean, they would do family law cases, but they would be the one exclusively dealing with surrogacy hearing. And like I said, it's not every family court division all the judges would be know or trained how to handle surrogacy. So there's always have 1 or 2 per courthouse in the family division judges that handling here on the matter of pre-birth order hearing. And remember, it is the intended parent's responsibility to establish an escrow account to either a third-party escrow management company or trust management by a licensed California attorney and approved by the State Bar of California. So look at the Family Code section, California Code section 7961. So what happened is that surrogacy process, besides the fact that it can be time-consuming and the legal intricacy of it, it's also very expensive. Financially, is a big, huge burden on a lot of family intended parents. The cost, which I'm going to go there more, is about 100 to 150. Now the price are going up because it become more. It become almost like a trendy thing, and then now more people think there's an option. So that this is, and they wanted to have genetic relation or related to the baby they have. So now it's almost, the price have went up to 150 or more, I have seen recently. And because of that, they don't just give the money to the surrogate like one lump sum. And then also this surrogacy process is like teamwork. A lot of time you deal with the medical staff, the doctor, and then also once the transfer went successful, the surrogate mother is pregnant, a lot of time you have switched the fraternity clinic into the normal usual OBGYN of the surrogate mother. And then you also have to deal with psychiatrists, psychotherapists, because they will need to, the surrogate and the parents need to be evaluated to make sure mentally, emotionally they are prepared and can do this. And then we also involve with a lot of agency, you know, if the intended parent is looking for sperm donor, do sperm donor bank, they're going to be agency that looking for sperm, or egg donor agency looking for egg donor for the intended parent. And beside that, like I said, a lot of time they only allow gestational surrogate. So if the intended parent, the age tend to be older, or like I said, same-sex, same-men couple, and they need another surrogate, a woman to carry the fetus or embryo, then you have to go to another agency, surrogate agency, or if you can ask a family relative or sister that can carry the pregnancy for you, that also require a surrogacy agreement. But you probably involve less people, at least not with the surrogate agency. A lot of egg donor agency now also are the agency for surrogates, so you only have to go through one agency than two. So it would make the process a little bit easier, but they still have a separate agreement. Okay, now we're going to talk about legal contract, or in this webinar, we're going to call the surrogacy contract. A well-drafted surrogacy contract is important to protecting the interests of all parties involved, right? So that would be the intended parent, the egg donor, or the intended parent with the surrogate. So surrogacy contract is very important. And issues such as a parental right should always be well established, stating clearly that the intended parents would have moral, ethical, legal, and contractual parental right over the baby. Surrogacy contract also cover important matters including financial term, reimbursement, and health insurance coverage. The contract will also talk about those matters because how the surrogate going to get paid, with the timeline or how they get paid, or about their business expense, traveling, going to see the doctor. All those things need to be in the surrogacy agreement. Some of the intended parents wanted to make sure, or they are vegetarian, they're against any meat product, non-organic product, inside the baby's body. So in the surrogacy agreement, they would put the term what food or what they prefer the surrogate mother would be eating during the time of surrogacy. In addition, sometimes I also see surrogacy agreement will also list the fact that the surrogate can visit the baby, or sometimes just like egg donor contract, or just like egg donor, some of the surrogate don't want to have any relationship with the IP or the baby that they have carry. In my experience, a lot of times the surrogate mother do want to have some kind of minimal contact by requesting a birthday card each year from the baby, or a picture of the baby, just to see how the baby that they have carry for look like and how they're doing. Again, a lot of the surrogate mother are doing this not just for the financial gain, but for their own kindness, because they realize they're doing this for people who really want to have family and they can't. And their payment are not enough where they would do this just for purely for financial gain, because like I said, the whole surrogacy process involves a team. So a lot of times the surrogate or egg donor, their fee are arranged or shared by the agent or the agency. And also health insurance during the time that they're going into pregnancy, you would be responsible, the intended parents would be responsible to make sure that the health insurance cover, because a lot of them don't have health insurance, and if they do, they don't cover a situation like this. And so this very particular type of health insurance covering in situation like this. Arthric is one of the insurance company, and there's many, not that many, there's other few, but those are the insurance company that specialize in providing health insurance for the surrogate mother that going due to situation. And what is not put in here is also life insurance coverage. A lot of time the surrogate family wants to make sure the family is protected while the surrogate is going through pregnancy. Just like any other normal pregnancy, there's always some risk involved. So while the surrogate mother is carrying a baby for another couple, the surrogate mother's family wants to make sure that they're also protected if anything happens, their family would be okay by allowing their wife, their mother going to do this for another family. So life insurance, we do see that is one of the important terms. And normally the request amount for the life insurance is about $250,000 to $500,000. And the monthly fee for the life insurance is about $200 around there, $180 to $200. Intended parent also expected to include who the emergency contact will be in the unforeseen events of death or other life-threatening events. Or, you know, recently we've been talking about all the virus going on, people die from that, or airplane crash. All the things that need to be talked about. In this case, in the sad situation that happened, who's gonna have the parental right to the baby that about to be born, or the embryo, or so on. Ultimately, intended parent will also have to have some living estate in place for the unborn children or child, and whose custody of child or children will fall into if they're not here or capable of doing so because unforeseeable event that have cost their life, right? Okay. Next one, we're going to talk about California Code, Family Code Section 7962. So 7962 Family Code Section is the code section to tell you what need to be in it or included in the surrogacy agreement. Section 7962 states a surrogacy agreement must include the following nine items. The day which the system of protection agreement or gestational carrier was executed, the person who which the gaming will originate, unless anonymous donated. A lot of times they have a number on it. It said the name of the donor, the intended parent's name, and how the intended will cover medical expenses, gestational carrier, and the newborn or newborns. The process of any necessary pre-birth parentage order, the risk and responsibility for the intended parent surrogate. We need to list all those things because you want the surrogate to understand what risk she's might have. And then she has to fully understand it, sign it, and then reviewed by independent counsel to make sure she understands the risk that she put herself into by doing this thing for this family. Surrogate compensation, how the surrogate getting paid. Again, surrogacy is a state-by-state law. Some state allow, some state don't. And make this surrogacy even more confusing is that even within the state, even among the state that allow surrogacy, the compensation can be varied. And then this is why. Some states that allow surrogacy would not allow commercial surrogacy. I know Nevada allows surrogacy, but Nevada, you can only pay them based lost wages. The last time I checked, and they might change it again. Who knows? California, you could pay them for compensation. Some people, they want to go Canada because Canada seems to always been pretty liberal in their medical technology advancement. Surrogacy is allowed in Canada, and Canada also recognized same-sex marriage. So before United States recognized same-sex marriage, a lot of couple from the LGBTQIA have went to Canada to register as partnered or to get married in Canada. They also allow surrogacy there, but Canada does not allow commercial surrogacy. They only allow lost wages compensation, but they do allow reimbursement, and they don't put a limit on reimbursement. So based on that, this is a trick. So it's very confusing with surrogacy, and that's why we're doing this. Language pertaining to the sensitive but necessary issues such as selection reduction, abortion, and custody. A lot of my clients from overseas, they want to put 2 fetus, 2 embryo per pregnancy, per transfer. And the reason is that they always want a boy and a girl. They think that would save money, or they want a twin, get it all over with. A lot of them will rather to put 2. But the problem is that a lot of surrogates were not allowed to do that because the risk is higher, and surrogate were not willing to do that. And besides the surrogate, a lot of times, depending on the fraternity doctor they're seeing, some doctor would not perform any transfer that is more than single transfer, single embryo, because they think the chance of surviving, the embryo to survive is less than to having more than one is less than having one. And number 2 is also increase the risk for the surrogate mother. And throughout the pregnancy, if turn out that the fetus, turn out the embryo have any kind of illness or weird, or find out there's some diseases, then the choice of abortion at that stage, or would that be something agreed upon between the surrogate and the intended parent? Those are the questions you need to think about foreseeing, and then make sure that is in your surrogacy agreement. Also, if the surrogate agreed to put 2 embryo into the transfer, and you got lucky, both embryo survive, in fact they split off, now they have 3 or 4 embryo, will you allow the surrogate mother to go do selection reduction, because now having 4 or 3 might harm the surrogate's life, it would endanger her life? So how you make that decision, it is something that the party, intended parent and surrogate, have discussed or talk about. So those are the stuff. Whatever the decision is, that needs to be written down in the agreement, so to avoid any question later on if this situation occurred. So expectation for both parties, such as who attendance at the delivery and other birth-related topic, need to be stated. We have a client from Asia, from Thailand. Their baby just delivered, actually during Christmas time. So no, actually right after Christmas, the first baby that we have of 2020. And one of the issues came up was at the time of delivery, is our client allowed to see the delivery and to accompany the surrogate mother going to delivery. Whoever drafted that surrogacy agreement, not our firm, did not specify that scenario. So what happened was that when the surrogate was giving delivery, my client and their family flew all the way from Asia, from Thailand to here to be on the hospital, and they would really feel left out, cannot be at the delivery room, because they wanted to film or at least take picture of the process as their first only child being born, and they don't get the opportunity to do so, because the surrogate mother preferred just having her partner to be at the delivery room and nobody else. So that's something that you need to address, and do put it down in the surrogacy agreement. Among other things, section 7962, which this is what the code we use to draft a surrogacy agreement. Also require that the agreement must be notarized, which I mentioned before, and that both, again, I can't repeat this enough, that both surrogate and the intended parents must be represented by separate independent counsel of their choosing. Even though intended parent paying for surrogate mother's choosing attorney, review attorney, it was still choosing by her. It was still being independent from the intended parents, so that surrogate mother feels secure and comfortable that she have her own independent counsel. Okay, as we go on to the next page, moving forward after. Only after the agreement has been executed, notarized, and exchanged between both parties would the surrogate be officially clear to move forward with the medical. And when that time come, the fraternity clinic that the intended parent have been seeking treatment from will request attorney to send them a legal clearance, a letter called legal clearance, to let them know that the agreement had been executed, notarized, and changed, so that now the medical staff, the medical treatment can start. So the clinic always asks the attorney for a legal clearance, and that's what it is. Well, the controversy of surrogacy. Like I said, I'm being in this business for over 18 years, and it's because myself personally went to surrogacy. I froze my egg when I was 30, and that was 43 years ago. And people thought I was crazy because I was a healthy woman and decided to make a choice to freeze my egg. When egg freezing was something that, even though we had the technology to do so, but it was never promoted to healthy women like me at that time. It was only offered to cancer patient that going into chemo radiation, and was a advisement from the doctor to women if they wanted to freeze their egg, just in case in the future they ever wanted to have offspring. So when I freeze my egg, that was very new. But nowadays, with the trend of surrogacy, and women have now stepping up and to break the glass ceiling in the corporate world. We want something that doesn't hold us back or take the backseat because the pregnancy or the biological clock. So because of that, a lot of time the controversy is that this is only allowed with a wealthy family and or women, that professional women, which is not true. This surrogacy technology, like I said, have been around for a long time. It's just getting better and better, but it was always available. It's just that the society idea that women should stay home and take a backseat during pregnancy, it was so strong all this year that have slowly breaking down. And then a lot of times surrogate process is really expensive. Like I said, 100 to 150 a few years back when I was doing surrogate, and now is probably higher. And I have my son do surrogate, and it's because I choose to do so, and I was lucky to do so because after I ate freezing the second time, that's when I realized there was tumor in my uterus. And if I never freeze my egg, I would never know that I have this tumor growing in my uterus. And given the fact that it is surrogacy option, it allowed me to have a family, to allow me to have my son. So I think the controversy about surrogacy, I understand there's a downside. Some of the things they said that it was only for the wealthy, and they explore human trafficking because they explore poor family women to do this. Like I said, for the surrogate mother to do this, most of the time they also have a family themselves, and they they also have to pass the psychological evaluation, medical clearance, just like the Indian parent also have to go do psychological evaluation. They have to make sure they're doing this for a good reason, not just for the money. India, a few years back, was a big country that allowed surrogacy. A lot of US people and European people have went to India to do this. And it so happened in India, there was no legal law. There's no law like we do, like family concession, anything like that, to govern the surrogacy. So there's no regulation. So a lot of women in India was doing surrogacy were coming from the poor family. However, by doing surrogacy, the money they receive actually allow them to provide for the whole entire family for the year. So I understand what people are saying about human trafficking and exploit the poor, but it also can be a good thing, a great thing. For example, LGBTQIA community now, besides that, the equal love, they recognize same-sex marriage. Now they can also have children of their own, create their family. And then the recent case, which I was hired as a legal consultant on, where the clinic also messed up on the embryo, can be also another thing. But like I said, everybody made mistake. No one thinks perfect. That was one in a million case that happened. But because of that, surrogacy become a really sensitive topic still. It become one of the highlight people have been looking at. However, like I said, surrogacy is getting more popular. A lot of women are talking about egg freezing, and then a lot of women are now older because of professional life. They decide to have family much later, financially they're more secure. And by the time they're ready or financially able to do it, they can't. So surrogacy is a great option for them to do. International surrogacy is what most of my clients are. Like I said, in Asia, they don't recognize same-sex marriage and they don't allow surrogacy. Women's right is not as protected as in the US, so we're very lucky we live in this country. And this is the reason a lot of people from the outside of the country are coming to United States, especially California, to fulfill the dream and let them to have the dream come true of having a family of their own. Especially sex selection is not allowed unless you have a history of unhealthy baby in the past, and you can get testing for sex selection. And another thing is, if you're not married, you can egg freezing, which really bring women back in the day, where I think the woman should have a choice to do. Egg freezing is a great thing, just like buying life insurance. So that way, women no longer feel like they need to jump into something because their biological clock is kicking. They can be more prepared and ready when they've wanted to create family. They'd be more financially secure. And most importantly, they're more emotionally matured and ready for it, whether to find a mate, to partner, or to have a family. So I think surrogacy is a great thing for all. Surrogacy for Chinese couple, it got very popular with China because, as you know, China always have the one-child policy. In 2015, October, they abolished the one-child policy, and now so many couple now wanted to have the second child because by now the children, the first child, are already in college. They're still in their mid-late 40s, and they're really craving for another children, so they're all coming here. So it's very cute, and they adore their little baby because it's like the second wave for them. Spotlight and surrogacy, like I said, a lot of celebrities are doing that. Elton John, Lucy Liu, Sarah Jessica Parker, Tyra Banks, you name them all. Like I said, women nowadays, because we are more in the professional stage now, we're just not ready. We don't have the time as what we were back in the day, stay-home mom. That will no longer exist or apply for the nowadays women. And so by the time we're ready, a lot of time we're missing out the time frame, and it's really sad. So surrogacy really help women to have it all, to advance their career and also create the family they want, and also the LGBTQIA community. So those are the questions that we always get asked. How do I start? Schedule a consultant with surrogacy attorney or visit a local surrogacy agency. How long does surrogacy process take? Average about 15 to 18 months. And think about it. 9 months pregnancy and finding the surrogacy agency, drafting the surrogacy agreement, if you need an egg donor, and so on, setting up the account. What kind of relationship does surrogate want after birth, right? This is really up to you and your surrogate mother. You guys are going to be a partner during this 15 to 18 months at least. And always be grateful of those women who give you the hope and then give you the family. So to me, it's very important you choose the right surrogate that fit you, that you feel connected with. It's not about compensation or agreement. On the end of the day, this is somebody that helping you to create the family that you wanted. And they're doing a big favor for you. So it's not just about the money or compensation. They're also doing it because out of their own heart, and they understand that they're helping a couple or somebody who wanted to have a children and they can't have. So have a great relationship with your surrogate mother, whatever that is to you and her. How much does surrogacy cost? Surrogacy cost can be about 100 to 150. That's about the time that was the price when I did it, and that was about 5 years ago. At this point, the recent cases that we have is about 150 to 160 or 180 I see. Do I have to go to a surrogacy agency? No, you don't. Some people just go to surrogate agency because you have more selection. Like I said, if you know somebody willing to do it for you, a sister or a best friend or anything like that, then you don't have to go to an agency. It's just that agency will go to the filter for you. I always tell people I have the most fun job. I'm a single mother, but I never go online dating app because I feel like I'm only doing that. So I'm online looking for a donor, looking for surrogate. So to me, it's almost like an online dating. You went to the agency, they give you a bunch of selection and picture and profile, and you seek out the one you like or you feel connect with. Or that fit your requirement. But if you find someone already, you don't need to go online dating. Just like surrogate agency, if you know somebody that's willing to help you, then you don't have to go do the agency. Okay? So how do I schedule a surrogacy consultation? We're all firm. You can call us and send us an email. We can give it to you. We also have a brochure that can answer more of your question if you have any. And at the end, this is my son. I have my son do surrogacy. I freeze my egg 13 years ago. And I have my son 5 years ago. And I'm still a good friend with my surrogate mother. She doesn't require constant contact, but she's on my social media so she can see my son, how my son look. And every year for my son's birthday, we always send her a thank you card because not for her, I wouldn't have my son. So always be grateful. So this is my webinar about surrogacy, and this is something I'm passionate about. I personally live through it, so I love to talk about it. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to consult my set up a consultation. Thanks.